NBC4 presents Positively Black.
Well, this week we celebrated the work and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. during the civil rights movement, and one organization is realizing there's more work to be done and is working on that in the 21st century. Arva Rice is the president of the New York Urban League, and I want to talk about your organization specifically because even though you've been around since 1919, some people can still get confused about what the Urban League does. Explain that for us.
The New York Urban League is dedicated to working with individuals of color, helping to provide them with equal access to education and employment. And we feel like the work that we're doing right now is just as relevant as it has always been. We're proud and pleased to have President Obama in the White House, but until every child has the education of Sasha and Malia, our work is not done yet.
And we're looking at some of the events that the Urban League has taken part in over the years. Some people say it's a black organization. Is that a fair assessment?
We're an organization that's about people who do not have equal access. That's increasingly becoming Latinos as well as African Americans. But we work specifically in New York City around certain zip codes that have people who are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice, the juvenile justice system, and not represented in other terrific opportunities.
Now you're coming up on 2 years. Yes. Can you believe it already with the Urban League? And you kind of come into this at a time when education is especially disheartening for African Americans here in New York City. Mm-hmm. I saw a stat that said only 30% of black kids are graduating from high school. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is the Urban League doing to combat that?
The Urban League is continuing to do some of the work that we've done over the decades and starting to make what is old new. Right. So over the course of the last 40 years, we've had something called our Whitney M. Young Football Classic, and through that Football Classic, we've given out over $20 million in scholarships to young people to go from high school to college. We've also provided supports and help and mentoring to individuals who are going to college, helping them to make that bridge, helping them to figure out and navigate the college process, which school to apply to, what's a historically black college, what does it offer in contrast to a private school, and then helping young people, providing them with also role models so that they can see folks that look like them, who have been successful, who've walked in their shoes.
Now we're talking about the civil rights movement in the 21st century. A lot of kids, a lot of younger people especially hear that and think that's a thing of the past. How can it be current, and how should we view that as a 21st century thing?
Well, the question that you asked is really a terrific and relevant one, because the fact is that you and I aren't old enough to have walked with Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean to be able to live his legacy, not having actually been there at that time? Right. But we know that we wouldn't be sitting in the places that we are without his work and without his struggle. And locally, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Reverend Al. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't Hazel Dukes at the NAACP. I wouldn't be here without Harriet Michelle, who also worked at the New York Urban League. And so it's a matter of introducing our young people to their histories and making sure